famous Toastmasters and those who are not. Come right in and sit down. I was just wishing I had someone to talk to. Take that chair right there by the door so you can get a breeze. I have a question to ask you. What would you do if you found out someone in the congregation stole money from your church? It was 40 years ago. Our church needed considerable fixing. It needed a new roof. Some of the window locks were out, and the floor was as bare as a baby's behind. But it had always been. The men folk managed to get those roofs shingled, and the women in the society that we'd get a carpet. We'd been saving up our money for some time, and we had about $120. We had an argument. Some of us wanted the carpet, and someone wanted to give the money to the mission. Marianne was the one who said it. She said at last, Marianne is in favor of the carpet, so that's what we're going to do. What we'll do, we might as well keep the money and put it in the carpet. We all decided to take Marianne's advice, and we were talking about appointing a committee to go to town the following Monday to pick up that carpet. When all at once, Jamie Taylor, she was the treasurer, she spoke and said, there ain't any use in having a committee. The money, it's gone, she said. Short, quick. I kept it in my top drawer, and when I went for it yesterday, it was gone. I'll pay it back if I'm ever able, but I'm not able to do it now. And with that, she got up and she walked out the door before anyone could even say a word. And we saw her going down the road, looking straight ahead and just walking mighty fast. And we sat there and we stared at each other, gazed. And I was thinking that everyone else was thinking the same way, but nobody said the word until the minister's wife said, judge not. Them two words were like a sermon to us. Then Marianne spoke up and said, for the Lord's sake, don't let the men folk know anything about this. They're always saying that women ain't fit to handle money. And I, for one, don't want to give them any more ground to stand on. So we agreed to say nothing about it. But the next morning, I happened to meet Mr. Amos, and he says to me, Miss Sally, how much money have you got toward new carpet for the church? I looked him straight in the face and I said, are you a member of the Women's Society in the church, Mr. Amos? For if you are, you already know how much money we have. And if you ain't, you got no business knowing. And furthermore, there's some women who can't keep a secret or a promise, and some that can, and I can. And that settled him. Well, Jamie Taylor never showed her face outside the door for more than a month afterwards. And a more pitiful-looking creature showed up finally back for a meeting. She sat way back in the church, and she was pale, peaked, as if she had been a disease such as typhoid fever. I recollect, as if it was yesterday, we sung Sweet Our Prayer, and Parson Page, he prayed. And old Uncle Matthews began, and I knew as well as I knew my name that he was fixing to get up and tell us how precious the Lord had been to his soul, just like he did every Wednesday night for the last 20 years. But before I could start, here come Jamie Taylor walking up the aisle, and she stopped right in front of the pulpit. I got something to say, she said. It's been on my mind for a long time. I got to tell you, or I will just go crazy. It was me that took that money for the carpet. I only meant to borrow it. I was sure I could pay it back before it was due, but things went wrong. And I ain't known a peace of mind since, and I never shall again. I took it to pay my way to Louisville at this time when I got the news that Mary was dying. Mary was her only daughter by her first husband, you see. I begged Jacob to give me the money to go, but he wouldn't do it. I tried to give up instead, and I just couldn't. Mary was all that I had in the world. And maybe, if that was your child, you'd put yourself in my place and you would know what it would be like to hear your child calling to you from her deathbed, and you're not able to go to her. I asked Jacob 3 times for that money. And when I found out that he wouldn't give it to me, I said to myself, I'm going anyway. And I got down on my knees and I asked the Lord to show me the way. And I wasn't sure he would. But as soon as Jacob had eaten his breakfast and he'd gone out to the farm, I dressed myself and I opened up the top drawer to get out my best collar. And I saw the church's money there. And it went right into my head. Maybe this is the answer to my prayer. Maybe I could just borrow this money and just pay it back some way or another before it was called for. You know, the Lord was leading us all the time by the way things had turned out. But it must have actually been Satan. I got to Mary 2 hours before she died, and she looked at my face and said, Mama, I knew God wouldn't let me down till I saw you once more. So fellow Toastmasters, famous and not, what would you do if you found out somebody had stolen money from your church? Would you condemn them for life? Or would you bring them in even closer to your heart?